Okay, Raleigh, welcome back to another episode of the This is Raleigh podcast. And today, Caroline and I, we are talking about a topic that we don't really know anything about, but we know there's a huge industry out there, and that is video games and esports. And we're excited to have Caleb Smith, one of the owners of Contender Esports in Kerry, joining with us today. And we're looking forward to hearing all about the gaming world and esports. Thanks for coming along.
Absolutely.
Caleb,
Thanks
good
for
to hear.
having me on.
Yeah. Like I said, when I grew up, I was super competitive in sports and stuff like that. But video games is something I never got into, and I think you were the same, Caroline.
Yeah, I think the last video game I played was probably Pac-Man in 1985.
Yeah, we're probably going to be showing our age today.
Big time Pac-Man, come on.
Growing up in the 80s, and I'm trying to think, what was it like? Atari and Commodore 64.
Oh yeah, we're going way back now.
Donkey Kong and Space
Kong.
Invaders at the arcade. You even familiar with all these? I'm sure you
all
are.
of them except for Commodore. I know Space Invaders, Donkey Kong is still they've made new versions of Donkey Kong, so that's what I know about that.
Oh wow!
Wow.
Okay.
Yeah, I remember the little
lives on.
orange
Donkey Kong
console
lives on.
thing. And
Yeah.
And Space Invaders. I did actually enjoy Space Invaders, but overall, I'd get super frustrated with playing video games. And I was more inclined to go outside and kick a ball around or ride a bike and stuff like that. But I definitely understand how competitive it can get. But so Caleb, interested to hear about a bit about your background. Just give us a brief overview of where you grew up and how you got into video games and come to owning a business around esports.
Oh yeah, absolutely. So, like you, I did play a lot of sports growing up, and I grew up in Durham, North Carolina, and I lived there for most of my life. And my main sport was soccer. I did lots of others like football and baseball. I went with soccer. I played overseas in Germany for a few years after graduating high school, and I did play a lot of video games growing up as well. I did like video games more, I would say, but the whole thing that came to, I wasn't aware that you could actually make a career out of it. So I think it was like around 12 years old. I was like, okay, well, I can get really good at video games that won't get me anywhere, which I thought, or I could actually, focus on playing a sport that can, get a college scholarship or go professionally. Yeah, so I went with that. And then I was actually 20. I was 20 years old, and I heard some stuff about like esports. I saw on TV, and I knew that people made money from it. It's like with anything, people make money at anything if they're really good at it.
Yeah, the top level.
Yeah, I wasn't aware that there was an entire industry. It's like cornhole right now. There's $500,000 in like the American Cornhole League.
Really?
Yeah. Oh yeah. Well, I thought it was like a little bit less than that, so I thought it was like something sort of around there. Like cornhole was pretty big. I knew like game was pretty big, and there was like a professional scene. I had absolutely no idea that they were packing out stadiums of 10,000, 20,000 people, that people were making 6-7 figures playing, and that all these like you have celebrities like Drake, Ashton Kutcher, you have sports owners such as Mark Cuban, and then athletes themselves, Michael Jordan, Steph Curry, A-Rod, that were investing in esports. And so I was like, oh, wow, this is huge. And it was something that I really enjoyed growing up. And really when starting the business, one thing that I thought of was, okay, well, I ended up going overseas playing professionally. I thought about how I got there. I said, well, I started, playing recreationally for Woodcroft growing up. And then I started playing more competitively. I played for Triangle United, and then I just played, and I went overseas a couple times. And so I was like, okay, well, what can we do? Because there was a lot of practice that went. It's like I did private training. I, just went to just group sessions. I played for a team. And so I said to myself, how can we take what they do in traditional sports and combine that within esports? Because I didn't want to be a place where it's just like, oh, people come to play video games and that's about it. Because, that's great. But then how can we actually, positively influence people that are playing? And that's what comes to us to working mostly with elementary, middle schoolers, and to really positively teach them that about, things like integrity, because cheating is a huge issue in video games, or, teamwork and the anti-raging and be able to control their anger when playing and not just screaming and yelling and cursing at the monitor when
That
they're
sounded
playing.
like
For,
that sounded like me.
yeah.
Just watching sport.
Yeah, I get a bit competitive like that watching my favorite teams play sport on TV too. But not too bad. But yeah. Okay, go on. Sorry.
Yeah. So really, and then that's what. And since some people doing it, not really a model, a system that we could go off of for this. So it's really learn as we go along. We started off targeting like competitive type players, and then we realized that there was a much larger market for players that just wanted to play for fun, recreationally, and just wanted to have some sense of belonging. So that's what our goal is now, of actually targeting those type of people. And people like, oh, I just want to play for fun. They don't really have any goals anywhere that they want to get within it. We have a couple that want to, well, the difference between saying they want to be a pro and actually like wanting to do the work that it takes to get there. But there's very few people actually come through that want to go and play collegiate or professionally. Most just want to play casually for the fun of it. So that's what we catered to and said, okay, great. Now let's just teach these proper life skills and talk about like the dedication and teamwork and all that comes within gaming. Because it's a thing for the parents who, like you all said, don't really know anything about this. They don't know anything about it. We usually get one parent, every once in a while that actually takes interest in it and plays games, but most don't know about it. So they view it as just playing video games. They don't really view it as it's a commitment, something you sign up for, something you should practice and work hard at.
Yeah, I can definitely see that from a parent perspective. Is, as you said, we didn't grow up on it. So, we never played ourselves. And so when we see our kids playing games, it's kind of like, oh, is there something else you could do? Go outside, run around, throw the ball around. So we're not quite getting that connection, which is obviously what you're doing in the esport world, is that kids are actually, there's a purpose for it and they're gaining a lot of benefits out of it.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. And I'm all for it, and more, which is great that we offer like controlled type of video game plays. At least they come, socialize, get to learn something because, like I said, I played sports growing up. I think people should have, especially at the elementary, middle school age, a more balance. They should, play an instrument, do some types of like art or theater, play a sport, just so they get a feel of a wide variety of things. I did a lot of things when I was younger, and it just happened to be that kind of runs the family that, sports was our thing. And so I chose soccer to go with.
Yeah, just to piggyback on what Caroline says, like with our kids, like we're always thinking of ways to reduce their screen time. Like they're on their phones on social media like TikTok and Instagram and stuff, or they're watching YouTube videos on a laptop and stuff. So like when they say I want to play video games, we're like, oh no, like, stop, enough. But that's cool that there's like developing skills, like you said, like being creativity and getting educated and teamwork and stuff like that, which reminds me, like when our kids do play video games, they're playing with their friends and learning how to play together, whether it's what are some of the games they play, like
Minecraft and Roblox and things. It's very interesting.
They're about the obvious ones that I'm familiar with. But
it's interesting to see how they now communicate with each other through these games. And I do like the idea of them like coming to Contender Esports for like that kind of controlled environment. I think for a parent, it'd be like, okay, so now's the time you can go and play video games. You go off to the esports, it's controlled and they're learning all these valuable skills. And then they can come home and do some other things.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. And mentioning Minecraft and Roblox, so what a lot of people may not know, do you all know like what actually Minecraft is?
Oh, I know it's building things and building worlds, and I do get very lost.
Okay, so what a lot of people know, that's what a lot of parents don't really understand. So pretty much, you can mine for materials, and then you take those two materials and make it, into building blocks, so you can actually build things. And there's also an engineering component called redstone within Minecraft. And we use Minecraft and Roblox within our program.
Oh, okay.
And so they can build things, and then they can make a maze. They can make, hidden doors and traps, all that type of stuff. So we can teach, science, technology, arts within in Minecraft. And then Roblox, they have something called Roblox Create, which is where you can make your own game. And so we show them how to do that, have some basic scripting that goes in. And that's what a lot of parents don't actually realize about these games. And we actually oftentimes get panel call like, yeah, they said they just played games all day. I said, well, no, they made their own game in Roblox and did some scripting, and then afterwards we all played each other's game and tested out. And like, okay, that makes more sense. I guess when I ask my 8-year-old what they did, that's all they see it as. And so that's what a lot of people don't really understand about video games and how beneficial they are and the things that you can learn and how creative that you can be. And what our whole goal is to encourage them to, for some type of ideally STEM career, but they're building things. And so they may get an interest in architecture, or within doing the basic scripting, they may say, oh, I want to, do video game design. And so, our goal is to continue to add more to the program, such as, AI, cybersecurity, to encourage them to want to pursue, careers in these fields. Yeah. And we realized the best way to do it is to target them doing something that, they already do love and enjoy.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, that's the best way for anyone to learn. And I know that, as previous teachers, if the kids could play games all day, they had no idea they were even learning. And they're just like, oh, today was the best day ever because we got to play games. And
yeah, hands-on.
Yeah.
As a part of it and stuff like that.
So
that's pretty cool.
I'm really curious, as I still can't sort of get an idea about esports, what it actually entails. Like, what are they doing when they go into these virtual, I guess it's all virtual online world? Right, how does it all work?
Esports is competitive video gaming, and the difference between there's video games already, and then there's esports. And so when you take in video games, like you mentioned, the virtual world, so there's World of Warcraft, which technically can be an esport. There's something Club Penguin a while ago, RuneScape. And so those are games where pretty much you have an avatar within the game. And then now for esports, that's more so games like Madden, FIFA, the actual sports games as those. Yeah. There's strategy games called MOBAs. It's multiplayer online battle arena, like League of Legends, Dota 2. And there's shooter games, so that's where you have like your Call of Duty, what other games, Rainbow Six, and then you have Battle Royales, which is pretty much the Hunger Games, last person standing win. And so that's like the popular Fortnite, Apex Legends, PUBG. And so within esports, just depending on the one, most of them are actually team-based, and that's what a lot of people don't understand. They usually have 3 to 5 people per team, and a lot of games have different positions, and they have character as well. So the characters have different abilities. And so that's the thing we talk about really learning. So you have to learn, even if it's a character you don't play, a position you don't play, learn the other character, because it's easier to play against the character when you actually know them. And so oftentimes it would be the same way they do in sports, like a bracket format or for tournaments, or a season where they actually, play against each team twice. And then they make a bracket, have the playoffs, and then a championship. And so within the competitive gaming, we would just take a game like Call of Duty. It's a 4v4 type of game, and then they'll be able to battle it at. That's probably the most simple, because the characters are the same. They don't really have, there are positions in it, but not dedicated at really the game. The game doesn't really push it. It's more so the players like, all right, this player is an aggressive player. They're going to push. This person's really good with the sniper. They're going to hold back. And then there's like a game with Fortnite. It takes a lot of communication, because you have to, the game's really about being able to build walls so that you don't get shot at, and getting the height over someone, and then being able to communicate with your teammates as you play. And that's another great thing that gaming is for communication as well. So does that help answer the question?
Yeah, it does. It gives me a better idea of what they're going in and doing. And I can see all the different skills, like problem solving, having to think quickly, adapting, and being able to read other people, like if they're having to work against characters and know their qualities and stuff. So I can really see how essential those skills are that they're learning.
So depending on the game, obviously, whether you said most games are like a team situation. Is there like a one-on-one like game that you play,
like tennis or something?
Somebody, yeah, like a.
So there are some that are more so like that. Most actually have multiple people on, per team, and it depends on what kind of genre the game is. So some games like League of Legends, one that will take 40 minutes to an hour, and it's 5v5. The whole goal is to attack the enemy team and destroy their turrets. And so and then there's over 150 characters within the game. They all have different skills and abilities. And within that game, the whole goal, it takes a lot of patience, analyzing the other team, just destroy the turrets. And then, in other games, such as games like Valorant, Rogue Company, CSGO, the whole goal is to arm or disarm the bomb, depending if you're offense or defense. And then knowing which character to use, and then understanding the maps as well. So there's so much that really goes into the whole game that a lot of people don't understand.
Yeah. And so when a child or teen or whoever comes in, do they enroll in a specific league or game and just kind of continue to play that, or can they just come in and just choose what they want to play that day?
So they can do both. They can come in and just play. That's actually more common around like the older 16 plus crowd, because they just come for the fun of it. And then the young kids,
older 16 plus. So you're making me feel really old now. Like 16 is
older.
We get mostly elementary and middle schoolers. I mean, 25 is like the oldest age we get usually.
Wow.
So, but when so
funny.
the elementary, middle schools, usually their parents want them socializing, learning something. So that's when they'll actually sign up for one of the workshops or a team when they want to play like Fortnite, or they want to play Apex Legends. And so they'll come in and they'll actually be with an instructor each week, and they'll get coached. And then the players, they also chat with each other on an app called Discord. We have our own channel. And they're like, hey, does anybody want to play? And so they'll get together, and play outside of practice, which we really encourage.
So when they come into your physical business, and the people they're playing with or against, they don't have to be actually there as well. Like they can play anyone anywhere.
They don't. You can play anyone anywhere.
Yeah.
Ideally, it is better. That's what a lot of people don't understand, to have your teammates there with you. And then internet is a large issue when playing games, and then when playing people in other areas. So it actually is better to have everyone in one physical location. And that's another common thing that people don't understand, because like, oh, well, you can just do video games online. It's like, you can, but not as well and efficient as you can, in person.
Right.
And so you have the practice sessions, and so they have a coach, and so the coach is teaching them things. So they're not just coming in and playing. They're like learning, or are they just learning through the play, or the coach is guiding them through specific lessons?
Guiding them through like specific lessons, and a lot of it. So when they're younger and just starting around like 8, 9, 10 years old, it's mostly that they're learning like a lot of the mechanical skills of the game. And then as they get a little bit older, it really comes down to how well they understand the game. For instance, my favorite game is Rogue Company. I'm not all that great of a player, mechanically good, but I understand the game. I know all the characters and know how to play against other teams, communicate really well. And so that makes me a better player than I actually am, just straight off of skill. And so that's what the coaches really teach and encourage with the players. And they'll give them homework to say, okay, you all need to watch this YouTube video, or you need to study the new map to learn, what's coming out, learn this new character, their abilities. And that's what comes in within gaming. So there's a lot of thought and research and practice that goes into it. It's sort of like when you play a traditional sport and you have to study your opponent, know what their team's play style is, learn who the player going to be playing against, what they like to like. We know this one person, I hated playing against him because he was left-footed and he could cross the ball in and curve the ball really well. And I never really went against a left-footed player that could do that. It was always right-footed, so I was used to getting crosses that came on from the right side. But when he did it, it would just throw me off so much because I wasn't that used to it. So that was something I had to attempt to work on and plan for and practice. Same thing within video games as well.
Yeah.
Wow, this is the real deal. This is real life.
Great.
Very cool.
Yeah.
So how old is like esports? Is there one particular game that like kicked it off, and I guess it's evolved a lot with technology, like the speed of technology and stuff?
Well, since it's competitive video gaming, technically Pong was like the first esport to come out, and then Pac-Man, Space Invaders. Since it's competitive video gaming, you can really, since if you make a competition, that's competitive. So technically
classified
those games
as
were
esports.
esports. And then so starting around those were back, I think, like in the 80s. But in starting the early 2000s, there was 2 games. One was Halo. The other was Counter-Strike Global Offensive. Or Dota 2 was one. But that was mostly Asian-based where that game was played. But those are the ones that kicked it off. And those were, I believe, the first like team-based games. I could be wrong. Could have been other games that started off. But the team-based games where you actually have a team and you play against other teams in actually a league in tournaments.
Awesome.
Wow,
And
love it.
so tell us about Contender Esports. Like when you started that, how old is that? And you have a business partner, correct?
I do.
And, yeah.
So my dad he's more of a silent partner. Some people know about him, most don't. And then and
Is he a gamer?
he is, yeah. So he played all those like the Pac-Man growing up, Atari, and then he's actually into CS:GO right now. So he's into games as well. And then we've been in business for a little over a year. We opened in October of 2020.
Oh,
so
wow.
that was not the most fun.
Challenging
No,
times.
my
I
gosh.
was really couldn't market any of that type of stuff. And then, but it really did help push the whole youth esports education and that type of model where we actually, because parents want things to do for their kids to socialize because they weren't in school at the time, and they enjoyed playing video games, and so we were like, oh, this is great. And around that time, the November, December, January time, sports hadn't started up either, so that really did help us. And then we've just been going with that from now on. So I mean, there are a couple of tournaments that happen there. People do come into play, but we really focused on the whole youth esports model, and then really adding in the education model as well, because I believe in a good balance of the education and just entertainment.
I love that you have like a strong mission about character development and education through what you do. And I'm sure that your background, and I kind of want to go back because I'm so curious about your time playing soccer in Germany. Can you sort of explain how that happened and what was it like and what you learned from that you think helped you now start Contender?
So, it was a great experience. It was very different in terms of, people were different, food was different, obviously language was different. And then it was great because I got to learn a new language, experience a different culture, and, just see how things were in other areas. And I mean, whether like people think our January was bad, I was like, well, man, it'd be like that in April sometimes.
Oh, wow.
So, yeah, I mean,
Where in Germany were you?
I was in Bonn, Germany, which was nearby Cologne. It was the capital of West Germany. I knew that, but surprised a lot of Americans don't actually know that fact that Bonn was the capital of West Germany.
Yeah. So how old were you? And how long were you there?
I was 18 when I went over, and I was there for 3 years. I came back here during like the off season.
Yeah.
And how did it come about? Like where were you playing? Like in Durham?
I was. So for China United, so it was locally based here, and I wanted to play overseas. I'd been to Portugal a couple of times, and then somebody here that's connecting me was like, oh, there's this person over in Germany. I went there, tried out. I played amateur for half a season, and then played semi-pro for the next 2 years.
That's amazing.
I was
in
going
the
to ask you,
European.
did someone scout you or something you like pursued yourself and like followed up with some contacts?
It was scouting. I mean, the person he connected me with did have a good contacts, so that's what really helped it. Because I mean, without contacts, just being an American trying to go over there, that wouldn't have gone too well, probably.
Yeah, they're pretty good at their soccer or football, as they call it over there. But I'm sure it'd be super competitive.
Oh yeah, I thought I was very good, so I went there.
What position?
I was a goalkeeper.
Oh, goalkeeper.
Oh my gosh, the hard job.
Yeah, a lot of pressure.
I don't know why I did.
Do you still play soccer at all?
Just for fun sometimes.
Yeah.
I coach, so living in Pittsburgh, I coach for Woods Charter, so the girls season
you live in
starts
Pittsburgh?
next week. Yeah.
Oh, cool.
So I coach both the boys and girls, and then boys play in the fall, girls play in the spring.
Our 10-year-old
That's great.
daughter is about to start soccer for the first time in this month, actually. So yeah, end of February.
Yeah.
So she's looking forward to that.
Yeah, that's great.
Awesome. So 2020, what a time to start. Tell us about like when you come in, like your business model. Like, is there like a monthly membership, or people just drop in? Like, there's various ways to get involved.
There's both. So I mean, it's essentially like a gym, or you can come in, like I said, and just do a drop in, and you can
Was it
Right.
hourly rate or something? Or?
Yeah, so that for open play, it's hourly rate. For classes, that's just a set, rate. For camps and teams, those are set rates as well. There are memberships that we have. It's, like just like a lot of places do, mostly gyms, because that's the easiest way to describe it. So they can have a membership of where they come in, for a certain amount of hours each month, or they can just, come in for a drop-in. And then what other products do we have? I believe that pretty much covers it. Yeah.
And you open like every day, or
We are 7 days a week. So,
And you have all the camps as well.
correct. Yeah. So common way I put it is that we do education during the week and entertainment on weekends.
Oh, yeah,
And
okay.
then, we have birthday party. That's one I was missing. So so during the week, we have our camps. We're creating an after school program right now, and that's the education that we do during the week. And then on the weekends, the entertainment side, so we have like the tournaments and youth team seasons, and then birthday parties as well.
So it's like you've got a lot happening and it's very involved. How did you go from the idea of this to actually putting it in action and making it happen, and now have so many things that you offer?
Well, it all really started out as an idea, and it was a lot of testing that we did as well. So, we tried things out, and it's about learning what demand was. So there were a lot of games that we tried out, like Rocket League, chess, because that's actually an esports, surprisingly, chess, online chess, and other games that we tried out. We tried out different programs, and the thing is, some things worked, some didn't, and so we just took the ones that worked and built off of those.
Yeah, right. Okay.
And you said middle schoolers are your biggest like
I would say
demographic?
middle schoolers, yeah. So we do get elementary schoolers as well, and it may be a mix. That's a question. Probably about 60% middle school, 60, and then 40% elementary schoolers that we
And
get.
how many people can how big is your place? How many people can be in there playing at one
So
time?
we have about 2,500 square feet, and then there's 49 stations total that we have, and then just
station. I was trying to think of what's the word?
stations with like PC or console there, and then we usually we'll cap it out for camps or workshops, so we wouldn't allow any more than 30 to come in, just because there's 2 party rooms in the back and some stations in there, and we don't want people like in party rooms and having to manage all that stuff. It gets hectic already. So.
You mentioned just offline about like the summertime, you're really busy with camps and stuff. So how long is a typical camp? Like, do they vary or?
Yeah, so every day it goes from 8 a.m. to 3:30 p.m. and then we offer a single day, 3-day, and 5-day options.
Okay.
And the great thing about it is that there's a different lesson each day, so it's not one of those camps that builds off of it each day. And so people can come in, on a Tuesday and not miss out on anything.
I know summer camps get really popular and hard to get into. When should people start thinking about booking in for? Or do you have vacancies for this year or?
Probably March. So when we have availability now, probably March. Is around the time I say most people actually look at summer camps, and then we getting people for August, booking August right now. So that's how far out people plan. And the thing is, as long as, so I know some people cut off the registration. For us, if we're set 30 spots, if we have 28 and then somebody calls the day before, says, is there a space? Like, oh yeah, absolutely, come on by. So especially being in esports, we always know like you have to adjust and adapt. Like nothing's ever perfect. Something always goes wrong. So we're used to just chaos happening.
Yeah, I love that. Just working amongst the chaos. It's like a true skill in life, a very valued skill.
I guess being indoors, you don't have to worry about weather interrupting. As long as they can get to the facility, you're good to go.
We'll get to it, yeah. We'd have 2 snow days.
Power.
And
internet connection,
as
you're
long
good to
as
go.
the internet power don't go out, then
you're fine.
So.
You must have quite a team working for you.
We do, yeah. So there's me, and then right now I'm the manager and do the business development. We outsource a lot, pretty much everything besides the operations. So the marketing and anything HR related, we outsource all that. And then really with the team, it's mostly high school, college students, and then people right out of college. Is that we get. So we get about 15 to 25 years old is the range. And the thing is, because you actually need people who are educated, understand, the games, all that, but they aren't necessarily understand marketing and all those other aspects of business. And it's really they are teaching camps, they're teaching different workshops, and it's very specific. There's a common thing people think is like, oh, esports. Well, one person can teach all the games. Like, well, yeah, after like 6 years old they can, but when but it's like with sports. I mean, I never played hockey, so I can't coach that.
Sure.
But I mean, if you're like 10, 11 years old, just basic level, I can coach you in baseball and football and soccer and all those. But if you want to actually play at a higher level and more advanced player, soccer is the only thing I can coach you in, because that's the only thing I have, advanced skill and knowledge in.
I'm just amazed because you're quite young, like you're 24, and you've got this business that's thriving that you've built from scratch. You've got quite a big team of people that you're managing working for you. How has it been building a business? Because you don't have a business background, do you?
No, not really. I mean, I've done other side hustles just for the fun of it, and stuff like cryptocurrency or whatever else. But it's really a lot of learning, talking to people, lots of YouTube videos from successful business people. I already know Valuetainment, Patrick Bet-David's channel. That's a really popular one that I watch. And then just talking to other business owners I meet at networking events and just hearing about, things that, they do and that they've learned. And it's really, running a business is the best business education, because I've never seen a business plan that failed before. Like, it always works out in a business plan whenever you look at it. But then when you actually go into the trenches and start having to work and put it into action, then you realize, okay, this didn't work. This cost more than I thought. All right, this is, completely the wrong objective, wrong way to go. And so it was really a lot of mix of reading books, watching YouTube videos, speaking with people, and just doing it that I learned.
I just find it so inspiring. I think anyone who's listening who, might be in the same position, they may have a dream, an idea, a passion or skill, but sort of not feel competent enough to run a business or not knowing what to do, that you're showing people that you can do it even if you don't really know what you're doing. I think that's so important, because so many people just don't start their business idea because they're like, well, I don't know how to execute it properly. Whereas what you're saying is you can start it and just jump in and make the mess and learn through the mess and then create something great.
Oh, yeah. I mean, and that's really ideally what you have to do, because the only thing that someone else can do is, like, I've heard the story said, oh, I worked at this company, worked there for like 5-6 years and wanted to, work for myself. So then they started, a similar type of business in the same industry. I really didn't have that benefit because there wasn't anyone really doing this. So it was just jumping out there like, all right, we'll figure it out.
Yeah, it's
I love
amazing. Like, there's no playbook or typical college degree that, you say you want to own an esports business. I guess if you want to design video games, what's it like, computer science or something?
Computer science.
Yeah, that's more of an obvious path. But being so young and like you said, it's great that you're so passionate about it and we're able to create something around, because you said you're more passionate about video games than actual physical sports. That's what you said?
I would say that I really liked, playing a lot. I mean, it was a lot of fun when I was younger, and people have a lot of fun, and I just want to destigmatize what people think so negatively about them. And then, because yes, the person that's sitting in their parents' basement that's 28 years old, eating potato chips and drinking Monsters, staying up all night, not doing I mean, like, yeah, you're 100% right about that. But then, you meet so many other people that's just their thing. They like to do to chill out and have fun. I'm like, okay, so they went to work for 40, 50 hours this week, and you criticize them because they want to chill and play video games for 3 hours. So,
yeah.
Isn't it,
so
correct me if I'm wrong, but isn't the biggest dude on YouTube, is it PewDiePie or something?
The
Beast. PewDiePie, some guy, and people sit around and watch him play video games.
Yeah, it's very common for people to watch other people play video games.
Daughter does.
Because that's basically what he does. He plays video games and people watch, and I don't know, I guess he's a personality or character too.
People make, back in, I believe it was 2019, this one guy, his name's Tyler Blevins, but it's called Ninja. That's his gamer tag and his whole brand. But just off of Twitch streaming, he made $10 million that year from that. And that doesn't include like his sponsorships and when people just gift him money and things like that. Oh, yeah.
I guess if you have enough eyeballs on something, you can monetize it. So like build an audience and yeah.
And do you find the kids coming in have aspirations to be like those, like, what is it, PewDiePie and
that's my,
Mr. B?
They do.
They do?
That's one of my,
So they want. So that's what we're getting into more now. So with our, because really we focus mainly on the actual games, like Minecraft, Fortnite, Roblox, and then now we're transitioning to we're gonna start with our after school program, like PC building, and then we're gonna start video creations, like making YouTube videos, how to edit those, and just other things within that whole world, so that they learn valuable skills that are transferable, because everyone in office loves a person that knows something about IT, because they have a broken PC or something, like, hey, what do I do with this? And it's simple for them, but they're like, yeah, I have absolutely no idea what's going on. So to really encourage that, and then we say, like, we're building the future workforce, because these STEM jobs and internet-based and technology are just going to continue to grow and grow. And robotics and AI becoming more popular. Cybersecurity is huge now, because a lot of people have issues of getting hacked. And so by teaching kids these skills and developing them, will get interest so that they can actually go in and be able to work these jobs, because there's a lot of availability, high-paying jobs, and everyone's short-staffed right now, really, what it seems like.
Yeah, especially with this area, because who's coming here? The building
Apple,
but who's
Microsoft.
The big gamer?
Oh, Epic Games.
Epic Games.
Yeah, I was just going to say,
they're
obviously.
already here. They're
already here.
That's
getting a new headquarters
Yeah,
facility.
they're moving. Yeah. I was just going to
so
say,
the
like, there's
options are
obviously
huge.
big dollars in gaming, like Epic Games based here in Carey. And I think the owner or the founder just become the richest man in North Carolina, overtook Jim Goodnight from SAS. So
He overtook Jim Goodnight?
Yeah.
That's amazing.
So that's like, we're talking billions here, obviously.
And he's doing really good things for the environment as well, that I read about. He's buying up land in Western North Carolina to protect it, which I just recently read about. I thought that was amazing.
Yeah,
anyway, that was just a side note.
Do you know his name? The founder?
Tim Sweeney?
Yeah. Is he from North Carolina or no?
I'm not exactly
Not sure. Yeah. It's just interested to know why the headquarters is in Carey. But I guess the big tech scene and
the tech scene is huge here.
Yeah.
And the whole world, how Craig and I are just diving into this at the moment, trying to learn about cryptocurrency and NFTs and all of this. But I can imagine the kids coming through working with you, that kind of stuff, as this tends to evolve as we keep moving through and new things keep coming out like NFTs. I'm sure their brains are just naturally wired to understand it and be able to quickly evolve and move with it.
There are, and I think it's a common thing with gamers as well, because, whenever staff talks about investing, they're not ever talking about stocks or real estate. It's all about cryptocurrency. And they talk about NFTs and, now the metaverse. Don't know what that is.
Oh, yeah.
The metaverse.
I'm just
and
trying to get my head around it.
And then there's VR that's coming up. So it's pretty much all of that, new stuff that's technology-based. And the thing is, a lot of companies also realize that if they don't dive into this and actually become involved with it, they're going to get left behind with the adaptation of technology. I mean, we see how Amazon started to put like Sears out of business and hurt other companies, and whenever there's something new, innovative, and adaptive that comes out, then it results in people who refuse to innovate, such as Blockbuster, Netflix overtaking them, and then Facebook overtaking MySpace, because they don't actually adapt, or they don't just buy out the people who are, doing the innovation.
So true.
Yeah, evolve or die, as they say. And so obviously you can make a career out of being a gamer.
You can.
And I think if you get to the top level, like everything, how big is the gaming industry like in the Triangle area? Wasn't there a tournament recently at the Raleigh Convention Center or something?
There was.
I saw? So
that was a second one that happened. The other one was Rainbow Six back in 2019. That was a Halo championship. That was a huge event. There was 5,000 people in attendance for that one.
Wow.
And so they had, I really like that one because they had the pro scene of invited teams. And then they had spectators, obviously, and they also had an amateur scene, which was any team could just buy a team pass and go and compete. And that's also what helps a lot of teams, get recognized, because there's been so many teams of, just a group of friends that are unsigned players that they they do really well, they'll finish 4th or even win beating pros, and then somebody will recognize them and be like, all right, I want to sign you guys.
Wow. So it's so they have specific games at these tournaments, and then you just get your team together.
Yeah, so the specific games. So that one was Halo. The one before was Rainbow Six.
Oh,
and then
right. Then
so there was going to be a collegiate Esports International Championship was supposed to happen last year, but that was set for April of 2021. So that didn't happen.
Is it kind of like March Madness? Like you have a draw, and if you lose, you go home, or like how does it work
these
like that?
tournaments are usually it's bracket play. So you're in a bracket with like 4 teams, and then depending on how you do, you advance, and then so you start with the round robin and go into a bracket, and then when you lose, you're out type of thing. So there's no really set way of gaming of what to do. Every game has it different. Traditional sports such as like NFL, NHL, NBA, it's pretty much the same thing. You play the season, and then you qualify for playoffs, and you play against other teams. NFL, you just play one game, but NHL and MLB, you play multiple. And then within gaming, it depends on what the game wants to do. So Overwatch, Call of Duty, they actually have leagues that they run, and then you qualify, and then at the end say, okay, these teams qualify for playoffs, play, and win a championship. For Halo or CS:GO, they just have tournaments for those games. And so you go each week and you play in a tournament. And based on how you do in a tournament, it like ups your ranking. And there's a whole system around that.
Are you training the kids in your center for these tournaments or championships?
Some we do. Yeah. It just all depends. Usually we look for smaller amateur type of tournaments, like at the town of Cary that having one at the Herb Young Community Center. It's a Rocket League tournament, $5,000 prize pool. That's happening in April. So it'd be something more like that we would send them to, or they may play on an online tournament or something local that we look, because there's many different levels of gaming. And then usually the thing about esports is that since it can be done online, a lot of these teams are actually people that aren't in the same area. For instance, there'll be a person here in North Carolina, and they'll say, oh, my teammates are in Minnesota, Idaho, and Arizona. Right. And so when there's actually an in-person tournament, they'll all go to that location and play together, but they usually are competing online.
Yeah, right.
I guess the only challenge is time zone differences. Like, you don't want to be too, like, in, I don't know, England or whatever.
Oh, yeah.
Like, that makes it tough.
Well, it can be a challenge, but, I mean, they're nocturnal, so.
Yeah. that guy up all night in his basement, just saying. Cool. So, obviously, there's big money and prize money involved, like you said. So, the top gamers who have made a career, is there like a circuit of events? Like say, for tennis, you play the US Open and Wimbledon, or you go on the World Surfing Tour and stuff like that. Is there anything like that?
There are.
Or like a pro golfer or whatever, you go on the circuit?
Yep. So some games have it like that. Some are leagues. So Fortnite.
It depends on the game?
Yeah, it depends on the game. So Fortnite is like that. Apex Legends like that. CS:GO is like that, where they just have, these larger tournaments. And they're usually mostly in person. So they'll pick nice venues like up at, I believe it's Madison Square Garden in New York is one of the venues.
Wow.
And then
they don't get much bigger than Madison Square Garden in New York.
And then like Cologne, this is for CS:GO, so like ESO does in Cologne as well, Cologne, Germany, and then Brazil, they have one. And then there's other locations I do. So I believe they have like 5 large major tournaments for that game. And then it just depends on what someone wants to do. For instance, so when Call of Duty, theirs is, they usually start off the season with like a tournament just for the fun of it that really doesn't count towards anything except winning money, which I guess it does count towards something. And then they actually have their league. And then from the league, that's when it goes into the bracket play, the playoffs, and then they actually award a champion. And then there's also an off season as well. And the great thing about most of these games, that there's only one, so the publishing company, they run the tournament themselves, or the league, or they outsource another company to do it. And then, for instance, games like CS:GO, there's like 3 different companies. So there's no organization owns rights flat out to run CS:GO tournaments. So it was actually a boycott. It was a while ago, but because these organizations kept running tournaments, and if they wanted to keep their rank stats, they had to keep playing in them. But they said we can't play 52 weeks out of the year.
Oh, yeah.
So they actually went on a boycott. Say you all need to give us an off season, during this,
because like people don't regular sport,
it's
burnout.
Mentally
people
exhausting.
get burnout.
I can imagine.
Yeah, totally. Sorry, I don't know what is CS:GO.
So Counter-Strike Global Offensive. It's a 5v5 search and destroy. It's like one team arms a bomb, the other team tries to defuse it.
Yeah, so it's intense. It would be mentally draining.
And I mean, when you're playing in a 3-day tournament all weekend, and then you have to go back, all right, practice during the week, and then go play in a tournament again.
Yeah, so it's nonstop.
Yeah, that gets exhausting.
Yeah, just on that point, like, is there, like every sport has its particular like injuries or challenges. What's the gaming thing? Like, is it with your fingers and hands, and or physically and mentally? What are some of the common issues people have?
So carpal tunnel is one, and with like forearms, wrist injuries, people talk about. And that's something I didn't mention within our programs. We actually take frequent breaks because back, hip issues, and it was all right, jumping jacks, run around, some push-ups, whatever it might be, because
get
keep
the
their
blood
bodies
flowing,
moving, so they're not just getting stiff.
I guess people sit down; they don't stand up to play. Like,
no, they don't. So they sit down. But the thing is like, people forget to get up, and that's what from a young age, we work to teach.
That's
even
good.
During the whole COVID time, when everyone was on Zoom meetings, 8 hours gone by, it's like, they realized they hadn't gotten up, they hadn't eaten, hadn't drinking water, they just had their coffee from the morning.
Yeah,
so true.
And then we teach like the proper hand stretches, like your fingers, your wrist, your forearm, to keep your body healthy. Because just like in sports, you stretch and recover, take care of your body. They need to be drinking water. They need to be sleeping well, eating a proper diet, and plus all that helps their brain. And they'll say like, yeah, I like went to bed at 11 p.m. last night and woke up at 7 a.m. and I played so much better.
That's great.
In the game.
More alert, everything.
Well, they think it's a coincidence. They don't actually believe that. You improve your performance.
Yeah. I was going to say, obviously it depends on the game, but some games would last quite a while, I imagine.
Oh, yeah. So there's some like Rocket League where the games are 5 minutes. So usually there are stoppages in it, so it could last like 7 to 8 minutes. And there's games like Valorant, League of Legends that take 40 minutes, for an entire game.
Plus, I know like we work online, just staring at a screen for a length of time. It's not great for your eyes as well. Are the gaming companies doing anything to help with the, like the hand, repeated hand injuries and stuff like that? And are they encouraging like some health aspects, like to take breaks and look after yourself?
No,
they just like
give you the warning on the
they're just like, let's just get it more addicted.
And that's what we really work to do, because
it's great that you're doing
like,
that initiative.
You need to take these problems, because the thing is like, well, in soccer, in all sports, they taught like when you're in rec, I mean, no one really warms up, but they teach until you're like 12, then they actually make you start because you could get injured. But they teach you to warm up properly, to cool down afterwards. You get breaks during. I mean, if you were out there playing a traditional sport, to go out there running full speed, no warm up, 4 hours, all that. Yeah. I mean, there are many people say that they had injuries from not warming up properly, and that their careers could have lasted longer if they actually took care of their bodies.
Sure.
I remember A-Rod was saying that when he first started out playing, the food they gave them before games was like fried chicken and stuff like that. He says, and then like going, and then like 5 years later, it really changed, and they actually started feeding them rice and grilled chicken and vegetables and that type of stuff. And so that's what we're really trying to get within gaming as well, because these kids come in and they'll bring some energy drink or buy one of ours or buy some candy like Skittles, like, oh yeah, it like helps my performance and all
I guess
that.
like caffeinated type drinks like coffee or soda those drinks that's supposed to give you energy and stuff. I guess they're common.
When you're like 11 years old, you don't need any more energy.
No.
You don't.
You don't want that. You want them to get to sleep. If our kids have that, they'll be bouncing off the walls at midnight.
They are already without it.
So it's all fascinating. Like, what's the biggest game out there like right now, and some of the most famous players?
Fortnite, I'll say, it's probably
still Fortnite.
Still Fortnite. And then that's the biggest as far as the esports go. Candy Crush is actually a really big game.
Oh,
That's
yeah,
something a
the
lot
Facebook
of people,
thing.
A lot of people just love playing Candy Crush. And then what biggest names? That's tough. I mean, you get your streamers like Shroud, Dr. Disrespect, your YouTubers, Mr. Beast, PewDiePie.
So they they don't play in tournaments. They're just big on YouTube and stuff.
Correct. They occasionally might just for like a charity thing.
Then they
or
get like a
something.
celebrity appearance fee, like
Yeah.
Tiger Woods gets paid $1 million just to turn up or something.
Yeah, there may be something like that. But as far as biggest names right now, it really just depends on what game someone follows and really likes.
Mm-hmm.
Because, you know, it's like Cristiano Ronaldo for me was a big deal.
Yeah.
And then, but, you know, Derek Jeter, I mean, he really wasn't because I wasn't super into baseball.
Sure. I mean, isn't Mr. Beast live in North Carolina?
He
I
does.
believe?
He does.
I saw an Instagram up. He was somewhere in the Triangle recently.
He lives in Greensboro, I
I
think.
can't remember
Yeah,
why.
That's right.
Yeah,
Yeah.
our youngest daughter watches him on YouTube, so
Oh,
she
yeah.
tells
A lot
me
of
about
kids watch
Mr. Beast all the
I
time.
don't really know much about him, but I know he does like good things for like
He does
charity
really
and
good
stuff like
things,
that,
yeah.
doesn't he?
He
Have you
does.
ever seen him in real life?
I haven't
No?
seen him, no.
You have to
And
get him down
gaming
for a game.
brings on like some phenomenal. Like whenever I've never seen a charity stream that hasn't raised the amount of money it's wanted to. Like they'll be trying to raise $500,000 and like
Mhm.
piece of cake they'll raise the money. And I was speaking to someone from the American Heart Association. She said he said gaming is a piece of cake. He's never seen people raise money like Twitch streamers do.
Wow,
Mhm.
that's incredible. And where do you see your business going? It seems to me like you've hit something that's really valuable and is serving the community and very, very well. Do you see yourself, how do you see yourself scaling? Like, do you plan to open locations in other places? Do you see yourself holding your own tournament one day, or what do you envision?
So open up more locations, no
Yeah.
question. And
Yeah.
then ideally we'd like to have one in every municipality or like maybe two. For instance, Durham's pretty large and really take up the whole triangle when it comes within esports.
Mhm.
Really push the whole, youth development, workforce creation, and maybe other things that, get into in the future as well. All the stuff with blockchain, NFTs, crypto become
Gosh,
investing.
we need to enroll in
or
your classes.
Wow.
doing something like
I'm gonna have
that,
to
yeah.
start coming and playing some games and
Oh,
get
yeah.
educated that way, hands on.
Oh, yeah.
Cool, man. That's
It's
awesome.
great. I mean, you have so much opportunity, and it seems like to me you're someone who's just going to dive in and figure it out and make it happen,
Oh,
which
yeah.
is really
Well,
admirable.
A lot of places want us, bringing one of those there, but we're still, working and making sure we have everything figured out at this
Yeah.
location right now
Sure.
until we expand out.
Sure.
Yeah, and like in case you didn't catch it and you're listening, Caleb, it's been going for just over a year, right?
Right.
Yeah, and look at how well it's going in just that space of time. So I'm sure there's still a lot that you want to figure out before you expand, but the potential's definitely there.
Oh, yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely.
Yeah. And are you seeing, I know it's only been a year, so you might not have like some good kind of case studies, but are you seeing with any of the kids that are consistently coming through, are you seeing any kind of, great success or growth from any of the kids, and any ways that they're using what they're learning with you in the world outside of gaming to sort of help balance or improve their life in any way?
So not really case studies that we've gotten. We do know, for example, like when we've had kids for the workshops, they've set goals for the year, as far as in gaming, and then, teaching the proper stretches. And one time someone was the new coach and they weren't aware of the stretches that they were supposed to do. And the kids just, they're like, I just said, oh yeah, it's break time. And the kids just start doing the stretches on their own because they just know that's what they're supposed to do during the time. And so that was really great to see. And our whole thing is like, getting them to set goals. Like it may be in gaming, but the goal is actually get them doing that in real life. We have had parents say that their kids don't rage, scream, yell, curse at the game anymore.
That's great.
When
Awesome.
they play at home, just because we've worked with them, they control that and help them like, okay, well, let's work on playing better instead of just yelling and getting mad at the game.
Yeah, that's great. I
Mhm.
guess
I love that.
that's like everything. I guess it's like me trying to learn how to play golf better. Like if I don't know what I'm doing, if I haven't had any lessons and I'm just, going and hitting the ball, I get frustrated and don't play that well. But the more you learn the techniques and the skills and the better you become.
And have a coach to
have a
guide you
coach.
through
Like
it.
everyone has let's face it, everyone has a coach, whether you play golf or tennis or basketball or whatever. So I never thought of having a coach for video games, but it makes perfect
Makes
sense. And the better you get, the more enjoyment you have. Obviously, it's just naturally. So very cool. What about country? Is there any particular country that's most popular or the best at like esports? Or
So Asia is the most popular, and it really depends on what game it is for the popularity. So those are the games I talk about, the strategy game that are really popular over in Asia. And I mean, cosplay is really big there. Esports is bigger than traditional sports over in Asia. I mean,
wow,
they have all these stadiums, and there's something called PC bongs, which are almost like the place I have, but it's just, they're 24/7. People just go and play
huh?
there. And then I mean, there's when I say they have a lot of, it's like every street corner just has one. Like they're packed out, people just going there. I mean, China recently, which they do have a whole lot more people than we do.
Yeah.
They had 12,000 PC bongs closed down, and they still have 120,000 of them.
Wow.
And it's like, yeah, that's unreal. That fact that they have all those.
And then over there, you said they have like stadiums where they have like events and stuff.
Oh yeah. Right. So I mean, some are smaller, some are like the larger type stadiums, but like there's tournaments every weekend, and it's like thing where people cosplay, they dress up, they have the mascots. I mean, that's like their thing over there.
Wow, I wonder if it'll end up being like an Olympic sport or something one day.
Well,
then he talk about
is yeah. So
is it like a World Cup or something?
Well, some do have World Cups, but for esports, so they are putting in the Olympics, not in the actual Olympics. It's like pre the Olympics, they have it. So last one was Rocket League and Mortal Kombat. The whole thing of violence or whatever else is like looked down on upon people, and so they do like decide which games that they're gonna put in. But then there is lots of talks recently, and then I believe some World Games or some event that was happening in China this year, so that they're going to be having esports within it. So, and then there's also like no governing body or anyone that dictates what happens.
Yeah.
So they have another issue in like trying to get the Olympic Committee of people who don't really understand to decide, make the decisions based on that. But they do believe it's going to be something more popular as time goes on. But they do have virtual sports, and that's like rowing, cycling, but it's done like VR based, or where they actually, you have like, you're just in your house with your cycler, and you're racing against other people, like racing simulators, things like that. So it's making a transition. I do believe that it will be in the Olympics, at least next year, if not, by 2024, 2025.